America at war, 1 week and far from over, says the president. Tonight, CBS News learns of the first U.S. request for outright reinforcements as supply lines face constant attacks from some of Saddam's toughest. But the push for Baghdad is still on, despite the sand, the weather, and the Iraqi harassment. Elements of the 173rd Airborne parachute into Iraq's north. A near riot and an unfriendly crowd for troops bringing food and water to a desperate town. And the swimming team saving ships and troops from dangers in the Persian Gulf.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rabin. Tonight, continuing coverage of America at War.
Good evening. The war against Saddam Hussein's Iraqi regime is entering its second week tonight. U.S. military commanders in the field are calling for reinforcements, and CBS News has just been told the Pentagon is ready to send them. Here's some of the day's other headlines. The U.S. 173rd Airborne out of Italy parachuted into northern Iraq tonight. British and American units closest to Baghdad are braced for the main engagement with Saddam's Republican Guards. No one knows when that's going to happen. The ferocious sandstorm finally has begun to break there. Some of Saddam's paramilitary units, possibly in civilian clothes and vehicles, are reported to be moving south, trying to cut vital Allied supply lines. President Bush, visiting Central Command in Florida, said the war is going well but may not be short. We have CBS News correspondents deployed with U.S. and Allied forces and at other key locations around the globe to bring you accurate and comprehensive war coverage. We start at the Pentagon, where David Martin has tonight's big picture. David?
Dan, the commander of American ground forces in Iraq is calling for reinforcements. He has asked the Pentagon to fly in part of an armored cavalry regiment from the States. That's about 700 soldiers to protect the supply lines in southern Iraq, which have come under unexpectedly fierce attack from Saddam's so-called Fedayeen fighters.
Firefights broke out all along the supply lines connecting the rear areas to the front lines, where the Army and the Marines are moving into position to do battle with the Republican Guards on the southern approaches to Baghdad. The Iraqis, driving pickups and SUVs and firing rifles and grenade launchers, spring ambushes and flanking attacks, but are badly outgunned.
In the middle of bad conditions, our forces responded by destroying more than 30 enemy vehicles and killing enemy personnel in the hundreds.
Despite the lopsided outcomes, the Iraqis have turned the routes which fuel and ammo trucks use to carry supplies forward into ambush alleys.
I wasn't surprised that they kept coming back. I knew if they came once, I've been here before and done this thing before. If they came once, I knew they were going to come again.
Combined with the blowing sands, the attacks are complicating the drive toward Baghdad as units have to stop and wait for their fuel supplies to catch up with them. But for the record, the Pentagon insists there's no delay in the battle plan.
It has not thrown the force off its plan. The logistics have continued to flow smoothly. Additional forces continue to push forward.
The toughest fighting is in the south, but the target remains Baghdad and the regime. The Army's 3rd Infantry Division is now gathering just 50 miles south of Baghdad at Karbala, with the 101st Airborne Division out to the west of it. They are waiting for the Marines to arrive at Al-Qut to the east before they begin a pincer move on Baghdad. American jets continue to drop bombs on individual tanks, headquarters buildings, and air raid shelters of the Republican Guard Division standing between the invasion force and Baghdad. The Iraqis can see the attack at Karbala coming and have moved in another brigade of Republican Guards. Just to the east of Karbala, there is a huge lake, and military officers fear the Iraqis will blow the dam and flood the gap American troops would pass through on the road to Baghdad.
Depending on when the sandstorm lifts, the attack on Baghdad could begin within days. Using a maneuver American officers hope will catch the Iraqis by surprise. But we now know the Iraqis are still capable of pulling some surprises of their own. Dan?
David Martin reporting live from the Pentagon. Tonight, for the first time since the war started, a significant U.S. force is on the ground in northern Iraq. Paratroopers of the 173rd Airborne Brigade, a rapid response unit based in Italy, jumped into Kurdish-controlled territory. CBS's Alan Pizzi is there. Alan, what do you see and hear and know?
Dan, good evening. Well, all we know is that this is the first, as you said, significant drop of U.S. troops into northern Iraq. We believe this to be the vanguard of some other forces that will be coming. They'd been expected for several days. Unfortunately, the weather's been absolutely atrocious. I'm surprised they even got in tonight. What they will be doing will be, as we understand it, to be a kind of a stabilization force to make sure that Turkish forces don't come in here, that they don't clash with the Kurds. The Kurds are hoping that they'll open up the northern front in a more significant way. Their leaders have expressed a lot of frustration at not being able to get stuck in against the Iraqis, but I don't think that's going to happen with the 173rd. The people that have come in here will be securing that airstrip. There are 3 they can use. We don't know at this stage which one they did use, but they're going to want to bring in some heavier vehicles, maybe Bradleys, but certainly their own transport. This is a big area for them to cover. There has also been some operations already ongoing involving some American ground troops in the form of special forces. They've been going after Ansar al-Islam. That's a radical Muslim group that has an enclave here in northern Iraq. There have been airstrikes against them. There have been more airstrikes too along the Iraqi front lines. Just before we came on air, we heard the sound of another strike in the distance along probably the front lines on the road leading to Kirkuk. The Kurds are also preparing 5 prisons to take in prisoners. They're kind of hoping that with the Americans here, maybe there'll be some surrenders, but certainly the Americans are ready to at least secure this front, Dan.
Broadcasting live from northern Iraq, Alan Pizzi. The United States today denied Iraqi government claims that it targeted a civilian area in Baghdad. Pentagon briefers said the U.S. did not aim bombs or missiles at the heavily populated Al-Shahab neighborhood. The Iraqi government says the blast killed 14 people and wounded about 30 others, the worst civilian casualty toll yet known in Baghdad. The U.S. suggests Iraq's own anti-aircraft fire may have hit the area. One thing is clear, U.S. and British forces are being fought in many places on the way to Baghdad. This includes southern Iraq, places in and around Nasiriyah, thought at one time to be secured. CBS's John Roberts reports on the evidence all around him there.
The shattered American armor on the streets of Nasiriyah says it all. The U.S. Marines are dealing with an enemy that is both far more determined and far more capable of disrupting their schedule than anyone thought. And it is an enemy that has quickly adapted to find weak points in America's military might.
For all of its firepower, the U.S. Marine Corps can't move very far or very fast without the vast logistics trains behind it to back it up, to rearm and resupply. The Iraqis are employing a strategy in this conflict, try to tie up those logistics trains, preventing the Marines from moving north.
At every point along the roads leading north, the Marines have been caught up in fierce firefights. Word from troops on the ground is that rather than regular Army troops or even militia, they believe they are meeting elements of the Republican Guard that have traveled south to blunt the American offensive. That may be true or not, but the very mention of it is an indication that the opposing force is a tough one. The Marines moved today to end the traffic bottleneck caused by the weekend battle at Nasiriyah, punching thousands of troops and hundreds of vehicles northward. But many of those troops ended up stopping to guard the road against possible attack. And the Marine unit that we're with, which fought a ferocious battle last night, was again heavily engaged tonight. Pentagon officials insisted today the war timetable is on track, but the Marines are already at least 36 hours behind their preferred schedule. They are now faced with the prospect of having to protect every inch of their supply line while moving ahead to Baghdad, raising the question, does the U.S. have enough boots on the ground to occupy a hostile country as large as Iraq? John Roberts, CBS News, with the Marines in southern Iraq.
And then there are the Allied units now dodging bullets and wind-driven sand closer to Baghdad in and around Najaf, south of Karbala. CBS's Jim Axelrod is with those units.
Officers from the 3rd Infantry Division now say the Army controls the bridges in and out of Najaf, cutting off the city from Iraqi reinforcements sent from Baghdad. This while a brutal sandstorm continues to rage in central Iraq.
Don't let the rosy glow fool you. This sandstorm is nasty.
By far the last 24 to 48 hours has been the worst sandstorms I have seen in my almost 3 years in country over here before.
That's an officer, in the plainer English of a corporal.
It sucks being out there.
But inside this tent, where the 3rd Infantry's 1st Brigade prosecutes its battles, all is calm.
Engineers, air defense, fire support, operations, intel, this is sort of the nerve center.
Battles, the Army says, have killed more than 1,000 Iraqis in the last 72 hours.
This is Raider 30 Alpha. Has the target moved significantly south over?
This is a rare, behind-the-scenes look at how war is now fought. Captain Adam Morrison's computer renders precise targets for Major Ben Matthews' artillery, even in this hideous weather.
It's a science more than an art, and the weather has some effect.
In the middle of the storm, the Army sent up weather balloons. Subtle but critical targeting changes are made based on the data.
So how much has this sandstorm messed with your ability to be accurate?
Absolutely zero.
When 1st Brigade soldiers were surprised by Iraqis on one of the bridges to Najaf, Captain Morrison had artillery support in seconds. Support that helped Corporal Ryder Richardson live through his first battle.
I've never seen actual combat.
What's it like?
It's the worst experience I've ever had in my life. It's not something you want to do, but if we got to do this to take care of the U.S., this is what we're going to do.
Officers from the 1st Brigade combat team say they can fight in weather like this, but certainly they prefer not to, which is why they hope it clears over the next few days, when they expect to resume their push north and face their fiercest fighting so far. Jim Axelrod, CBS News, with the 3rd Infantry Division in central Iraq.
In southern Iraq, British and American forces have attacked more than 100 enemy armored vehicles streaming south out of Basra in an apparent attempt to slip away under cover of bad weather. Question, were they possibly headed for Iran? Basra is Iraq's 2nd largest city with more than 1 million people. Fueling the intensity of the battle there, the very real possibility of a humanitarian catastrophe. Supplies of drinking water, power, and food are short. President Bush presided over a rally for U.S. servicemen and women today. CBS's Bill Plant reports developments on the battlefield had the commander-in-chief doing some last-minute editing of his prepared remarks.
The president traveled to Commanding General Tommy Franks' home base in Florida and offered thousands of cheering troops and their families an upbeat but guarded assessment of the war.
Our military is making good progress in Iraq, yet this war is far from over.
Mr. Bush's speech, as originally written, said our progress is ahead of schedule. But with troops meeting unexpected resistance in Iraq, he changed that to good progress. He promised that coalition forces would prevail, but warned again that it might not be quick or easy.
The path we are taking is not easy, and it may be long. We will stay on the path, mile by mile, all the way to Baghdad, and all the way to victory.
Returning from Florida, the president went directly to Camp David for meetings tonight and tomorrow with British Prime Minister Tony Blair about the war and its aftermath. Specifically, the tricky question of who runs post-war Iraq, the U.S. and Britain or the United Nations.
It's important that any post-conflict Iraqi administration has the broadest possible support. And that's why the United Nations role is important, and I'm sure it will be important.
Appearing before skeptical members of Congress, the Secretary of State defended a role for the UN as necessary to getting other nations to contribute to Iraq's reconstruction.
There is great utility in having the UN play a role. Now, the exact nature of that role remains to be determined.
But the Bush administration intends for the U.S. to basically govern post-war Iraq until there's stability, which could be a very long time. It says that the United Nations should have a role, but it is deliberately vague about exactly what that role should be. Dan?
Live at the White House, Bill Plant, thanks. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, Iraqis fought over food aid arriving in one border town today, but were they grateful for it? That story is next.
Why do so many people trust GMAC Real Estate? It's because our agents offer premier service. A commitment to service that caters to your specific needs. Which means whether you're buying or selling a home, we'll listen to your needs and get you where you want to be. It's no wonder we have an overwhelming 94% customer satisfaction rating. GMAC Real Estate. Service you deserve. People you trust.
I got a $50 bid. Can I get a 55? Who'll Give me 55, come on, now give me 55, I got it, come on.
Could Procrit be right for you? Talk to your doctor about Procrit or call 1-800-PROCRIT.
Inside every can of Minwax is the secret to enhancing wood's natural beauty. Minwax rich wood stains and long-lasting protective finishes make it easy to turn any house into a beautiful home. Minwax makes and keeps wood beautiful.
Hi, grape nuts, please.
You know, it'd take 4 bowls of grape nuts to equal the B vitamins in just 1 bowl of total.
4 bowls. Dig in, Lumpy.
Special K, please.
That'd take 16 bowls to equal the zinc in total.
16 bowls. Eat up, sweetie.
Shredded wheat?
40 bowls to equal the calcium in total.
40 bowls. Chow down, big boy.
You need Total. It's got 100% daily value of 12 vitamins and minerals. No other cereal comes close.
Total, please.
Total for me.
We're out of bowls.
Total Raisin Bran. What are you getting for breakfast?
That's me with his whole family.
So you on a farm?
Yeah, imagine with my allergies. Go where you wanna go, do what you want.
This is Trisha.
Now there's a new and different way to treat seasonal allergies. Singulair, the only seasonal allergy medicine that specifically blocks leukotrienes, an underlying cause of allergy symptoms. It's a once-a-day tablet that helps relieve a broad range of symptoms for a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Ask your doctor about Singulair.
Morning.
Good morning.
Ready to go for a tractor ride?
You know, I think I did just fine.
Singulair, a different way to treat seasonal allergies.
As promised by President Bush and American war planners, emergency food aid began today, at least a trickle of it, in parts of southern Iraq held by U.S. forces. But as CBS's Aaron Moriarty reports now from the town of Safwan, the response was not exactly what U.S. officials and the American public might have hoped.
A bizarre scene greeted the first trucks filled with 20,000 packaged meals as they arrived today near the Iraqi border town of Safwan. Young men pledging to give their lives to Saddam Hussein, even as American and Kuwaiti groups were trying to save them. But they suddenly lost their appetite for politics when the food appeared.
Within minutes, the first attempt to give humanitarian aid to the Iraqi people has become a near riot.
Driven by the uncertainties of war, those same young men rushed in to stake their claim as women and children stood guard. A stark example of survival of the fittest that doesn't surprise aid workers.
They don't know what's happening tomorrow. I said, please, brothers, sisters, we bring more foods, we bring everything.
American soldiers there to offer security, like Lieutenant Colonel Steve Holmes, could only stand by.
Isn't there a better way of doing this without having a near riot?
I'm sure there is.
Aid officials acknowledge that with Iraqi soldiers often putting on civilian clothing, they could be giving comfort to the enemy. Retired General Ali Moman runs a Kuwaiti relief effort.
We do understand their problems. We faced similar problems in the past. So we want to make sure to show them that we still consider them as brothers and we're giving them a hand in difficulty.
More deliveries are planned for tomorrow. The first step on what is turning out to be a difficult journey to win the support and confidence of the Iraqi people. Aaron Moriarty, CBS News, outside Safwan, Iraq.
Tensions between nuclear-armed neighbors India and Pakistan flared again today. Both countries test-fired missiles capable of carrying atomic warheads. They also traded artillery fire in the disputed region of Kashmir. And India accused Pakistan of aiding Islamic killers who murdered 24 Hindu villagers on Sunday. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, as the war in Iraq goes on, news signs tonight that the U.S. economy is taking a beating.
Who has time for skincare that doesn't work?
Not me. I know what makes my skin firmer.
Rock promises visible results with Protein Lift Daily Moisturizer, proven to visibly lift and firm.
In just 8 weeks.
Rock, we keep our promises.
You bet they do.
Trying to beat cigarettes? Having trouble sleeping? You're probably using Nicoderm. Just read their label. The new step-down patch from Nicotrol was designed to let you sleep. And with new Nicotrol, you're twice as likely to quit than with cold turkey. New Nicotrol, in the blue box.
For 2 out of 3 adults with high cholesterol, diet and exercise may not lower it enough. But adding Lipitor can lower your total cholesterol 29 to 45%. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver disease or possible liver problems, and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. Simple blood tests are needed to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor about other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of serious side effects. So take the next step. Ask your doctor if Lipitor is right for you.
In 1935, Foxwood Farm started with 1 horse and a truck. The horse was a thoroughbred. The truck, a Chevy Suburban. Today, they have a few more horses, but there's still only 1 truck. Chevy Suburban. With an available 8.1-liter Vortec engine, it's capable of towing up to 6 tons, making it the best Suburban yet. Chevy Suburban, like a rock.
Ask me anything about cranberries. I spent a good part of my life knee-deep in them, but when it came time to start figuring out retirement and all that, I was in over my head. I don't admit that very often. I found someone I trusted, and we put together a whole plan. Now I don't have to think about it too much. Suits me fine.
Retirement and estate planning from Mutual of Omaha. It's never too late to start planning for tomorrow. Begin today.
America at War. John Roberts and Byron Pitts with the Marines. Jim Axelrod with the 3rd Infantry Division. Mark Strassman with the 101st Airborne. Cynthia Bowers on the carrier Abraham Lincoln. Mark Phillips and Lee Coward in Kuwait. Scott Pelley with the British Royal Marines. Tom Fenton in Qatar. Alan Pizzi in Northern Iraq. War coverage from the front lines. Experience CBS News.
Wall Street investors apparently don't know quite what to make of the war right now, which is why stock prices bounced up and down today. At the close, the Dow showed a loss of 50 points. The Nasdaq finished not far from where it began. CBS's Anthony Mason reports the overall U.S. economy is experiencing pretty much the same uncertainty as the markets. Anthony?
Dan, the economy seems to be caught in an Iraqi sandstorm of its own right now. There's a lot of conflicting data flying around, none of it sending a clear signal where the economy is headed.
The newest economic indicators showed new home sales falling more than 8% in February. But weather was the main reason. Snowstorms in the Northeast helped new home sales there fall by 37%. And the consumer's mood continues to darken. Confidence plummeted again in February, and that, says John Hancock's Bill Cheney, was before the war had even started.
The numbers are not telling us anything that should inspire a whole lot of confidence for post-war economic recovery.
Another key indicator, durable goods orders, which measure how much businesses are spending. They dipped 1.2% in February, the biggest decline in 3 months. Orders for computers, for example, were down more than 12%. Companies have decided to stop buying or hiring until the clouds of war have cleared.
So all those hopes that we get through the war, we get through the uncertainty and everything takes off are still just pure hope at this point.
And the longer we're in the fog of war, the greater the uncertainties. That's why the markets are volatile, why business spending is still on hold, and why consumers are increasingly edgy. What's still unclear is whether the disappointing numbers are due mainly to worries about the war or to underlying weakness in the economy itself. Dan?
Anthony Mason, thanks. President Bush's big tax cut plan suffered a major setback today. The Republican-controlled Senate voted to cut it in half. House and Senate negotiators will now have to work out a final version. If you're on Medicare, you're about to get the biggest premium increase in over a decade, 12.5%. Your premiums go up next year to $66 a month. Up next, there's some fresh headlines to report about the war and other news, so stay here with us.
Even if you brush your dentures every day, you're missing something. Brushing can miss odor-causing food particles trapped in crevices. Polydent with more polyvescent power scrubs out what brushing misses. Polydent every day for better odor control.
Are you taking Allegra for your seasonal allergies yet? Whoa! I guess not. Allegra for multi-symptom relief. See your doctor for people 12 and over. Side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. Allegra, it's time to switch.
This is an amazing age.
This is an amazing age.
We learn something new every day.
You're living in the age of Fosamax, when it's actually possible to help reverse bone loss and strengthen bone. Fosamax Once Weekly is a hormone-free tablet for postmenopausal women at risk for or with osteoporosis. Fosamax is clinically proven to help reverse bone loss. Increases in bone mass were seen as early as 3 months. You should not use Fosamax if you have certain disorders of the esophagus, are unable to stand or sit upright for 30 minutes, have severe kidney disease, or low blood calcium. Before use, talk to your doctor if you have stomach or digestive problems. Stop taking Fosamax and tell your doctor if you develop new or worsening heartburn, difficult or painful swallowing, or chest pain, because these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
One pill a week can help reverse bone loss.
Ask your doctor if Fosamax Once Weekly is right for you. This is the age of Fosamax.
This is an amazing age.
Helping reverse bone loss.
The Strauss potting shed, where good hands go to get dirty. Check this out. When these marigolds were potted, they were the same size. Did this one get more sun? More water? No. The difference? This. Miracle-Gro potting mix. Premium organic materials plus just the right amount of Miracle-Gro plant food mixed in. Miracle-Gro potting mix is so much richer than ordinary potting soil. Plants grow twice as big. Have you used Miracle-Gro lately?
Trying to remember what day the free shipping offer is over? At Gateway, shipping is always included on our home PCs. Plus, Gateway desktops have everything you need built right in from the start. A fast processor, big hard drive, CD burner and DVD drive, lots of memory, and a big monitor. And shipping's always included on our home PCs. Call, click, or come in. Gateway. Gateway 500 series PCs feature Intel Pentium 4 processors.
On assignment with 101st Airborne tonight, how our soldiers are battling two enemies at the same time, and a country music legend sings the blues tonight at 6.
He was one of the better-known names of the United States Senate in his time, Democratic Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. He died today. A one-time domestic policy advisor to Presidents Johnson and Nixon, he represented New York in the Senate for 4 terms, retiring in 2001. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, dead at age 76. Now, as part of updating the war with Iraq news, we start with the latest official casualty numbers. A total of 44 British and American troops have died of all causes. 14 Americans, most of the Marines, and 2 British have been killed in combat. Between 1,000 and 1,200 Iraqi troops are said to have been killed in combat, and it's estimated, it's a so-called soft estimate, 175 Iraqi civilians have died, with at least another 660 wounded. Also, CBS News has been told tonight U.S. commanders are requesting big reinforcements, and they're going to get them. And about 1,000 paratroopers of the Army's 173rd Airborne Brigade have parachuted into northern Iraq and secured an airfield there. Some CBS stations return now to local programming. From Indieview, there's more CBS News straight ahead.
This is CBS. From your news and information leader. This is News Channel 5 at 6. America at War.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Scott Couch. Chris is off tonight. Topping our news, the 6th full day of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And tonight, the Pentagon says coalition forces are making remarkable progress.